Lesson 4. God is passionate and compassionate. Memory text. Can a woman forget her nursing child, and not have compassion on the son of her womb? Surely they may forget, yet I will not forget you. Isaiah 49 verse 15. Emotions are often viewed as undesirable, with many believing they are irrational, and that a virtuous person should not be labeled as emotional. In some ancient Greek philosophies, the ideal individual is one who remains largely unaffected by passions, and governs their feelings through logic. Uncontrolled emotions can pose challenges, but it's essential to recognize that God designed humans to feel deeply. The Bible shows God expressing a range of emotions, suggesting that emotions are not inherently negative or illogical. There are truly beautiful insights to be gained from understanding that God's love for us is profoundly emotional. However, it's important to remember that while God's love, whether emotional or not, is perfect, it should not be equated with the emotions that we experience as humans.
More than a mother's love. Psalm 103 verse 13, Isaiah 49 verse 15, and Jeremiah 31 verse 20, reveal a divine love that is deeply personal, surpassing human love in its depth and loyalty. Psalm 103 verse 13 likens God's compassion to a father's love for his children, emphasizing intimacy, understanding, and care for human frailty. In Isaiah 49 verse 15, God's compassion exceeds even a mother's love, illustrating an unbreakable, ever-present commitment to his people, never forgetting or abandoning them. Jeremiah 31 verse 20 conveys God's compassion as deeply emotional and persistent, marked by yearning and mercy, even when his people falter or stray. For many, understanding that God's compassion mirrors that of a caring mother or father, brings great comfort. Yet, others may find this challenging, if their own parents were not nurturing. Conveying God's love to people who have experienced bad parenting requires sensitivity and wisdom. Here are just a few concepts that might reach them. Acknowledge their experiences without dismissing their hurt. This builds trust, and opens the door for them to see God as a source of comfort, rather than an extension of their past pain. God is not like flawed human parents. His love is perfect, unwavering, and healing, providing what human parents may fail to give. God's love can heal wounds from past experiences. We can show God's love through acts of kindness, patience, and empathy. Demonstrating his love in action can be more powerful than words. Jesus embodied God's love through his life, sacrifice, and resurrection. Jesus' love is accessible and personal, offering a direct relationship with God. Encourage others to see God as the ultimate caregiver, who is everything a loving parent should be: trustworthy, protective, and nurturing. By addressing their pain with empathy, and presenting God's love as restorative and unlike any human imperfection, you can help them reimagine what a truly loving parent looks like.
Gut-wrenching love. Hosea 11 verses 1-9 is a deeply emotional passage, in which God expresses his love and compassion for Israel, despite their rebellion. The imagery in these verses vividly illustrates the tender, parental love God has for his people. The deliverance of Israel from Egypt portrays God as a loving father who rescues his child. God is pictured as a parent teaching a toddler to walk, a scene of tender guidance and patience. The cords symbolize bonds of love, not force. This highlights God's gentle, relational approach in leading his people, rather than coercion or domination. Despite God's care, Israel repeatedly turns away from him. Their rebellion is met not with immediate judgment, but with sorrow and reluctance. Imagine the pain of a parent watching their child make harmful choices. The imagery of a parent-child relationship makes God's love relatable and deeply personal. It conveys his intimacy and investment in the well-being of his people. Even in the face of rebellion, God's enduring love and reluctance to punish reveal his long-suffering patience. God's love is not impulsive or vengeful, but deliberate and compassionate. God's response to Israel's sin transcends human expectations. Unlike humans, his love is steadfast and not easily extinguished.
The compassion of Jesus. Matthew 9 verse 36, and Mark 6 verse 34, find Jesus deeply moved with compassion for the crowds, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. This highlights his deep care for people's spiritual and emotional needs. Matthew 14 verse 14, tells how Jesus was filled with compassion for the sick in the crowd, and healed them. This shows his concern for physical suffering. In Mark 1 verse 41, Jesus, moved with pity, touched and healed a man with leprosy. His compassion led him to overcome social stigmas, and reach out personally. In Luke 7 verse 13, Jesus saw a grieving widow, and had compassion on her, comforting her and raising her son from the dead. This shows his empathy for personal loss and grief. Matthew 23 verse 37, is where Jesus expressed a longing to gather the people of Jerusalem, as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, revealing his deep, protective love for his people, despite their rejection. The overall theme of these verses is Christ's profound compassion and empathy for humanity. He is deeply moved by people's spiritual lostness, physical suffering, emotional pain, and rejection. His responses, whether teaching, healing, comforting, or expressing protective love, demonstrate his unwavering care and willingness to meet human needs with grace and mercy. Christ's heart for the broken and vulnerable reflects his desire to restore, guide, and embrace all who come to him.
A jealous God. The concept of divine jealousy often puzzles Bible readers, as it seems contradictory to the ideal of love described in Scripture. Human jealousy often stems from selfishness, insecurity, or a desire to possess what belongs to another. It is typically rooted in sin. Divine jealousy reflects God's passionate desire for his people's exclusive love and faithfulness. It is rooted in his righteous character and covenantal relationship with humanity. In 2 Corinthians 11, verse 2, Paul uses the metaphor of marriage to describe divine jealousy. It is likened to the protective, holy zeal of a spouse, who desires faithfulness in the covenant of marriage. Psalm 78 verse 58 highlights how God's people were unfaithful to him, provoking his jealousy by worshipping idols. God's jealousy is his response to his people turning away from him to serve other gods. This is not about petty envy, but about his deep love and desire for their ultimate good. Idolatry not only breaks the covenant, but also harms the relationship between God and his people, leading them away from life and truth. Divine jealousy is best understood in the context of God's covenant love. God is not jealous in the flawed human sense, but he is zealous for his people's faithfulness, because he knows that their ultimate well-being is found in their relationship with him. It is similar to the righteous indignation a loving parent feels, when their child is endangered by harmful influences. The parent's jealousy is an expression of love and care, not selfishness. Divine jealousy, therefore, is not incompatible with love. It is an expression of God's protective, covenantal love, desiring the best for his people, and a desire for exclusive devotion.
The significance of Pentecost. 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4-8, is a profound passage that defines love in its purest and most Christ-like form. This passage calls us to reflect God's compassionate and amazing love in our relationships in several ways. God's love is patient and kind, teaching us to bear with one another's flaws and imperfections, with grace. We are called to extend understanding and kindness, even in challenging circumstances, mirroring God's mercy toward us. The call to avoid envy, boasting, and pride reminds us to prioritize others above ourselves. It challenges us to practice humility and selflessness, serving others with pure motives, and without seeking recognition or gain. By keeping no record of wrongs, this passage teaches us to let go of grudges, and forgive as God forgives us. This act of grace reflects the boundless forgiveness God has shown through Christ. Love finds joy in truth and goodness, not in wrongdoing. This aspect challenges us to align our actions and relationships with God's truth, and to celebrate honesty, integrity, and righteousness in others. The passage emphasizes protection, trust, hope, and perseverance. These qualities encourage us to be a source of stability and encouragement in our relationships, reflecting the steadfast and unwavering nature of God's love. Love never fails points us to the enduring and eternal nature of God's love. In our relationships, we are called to embody a love that persists through difficulties, reflecting the faithfulness of God's love for humanity. By striving to live out these characteristics of love, we reflect God's divine nature, and bring his light and compassion into our relationships, fostering peace, unity, and spiritual growth.
Thank you for studying with us. We hope you give this video a like, and please subscribe. And always, keep the faith of Jesus.